Good evening, I'm Keifer Negri, and today we're going to be talking about the theory of natural selection. It's a fascinating tale about discovery and scientific ambition, but above all, it's the quest for the truth. It all starts with Charles Darwin.
What's poppin'? Let's talk about Charles Darwin. Okay, so Charlie Darwin was born rich, and he went to school and all that. He was sciencey ever since he was a little kid looking at animals and whatnot. He went to school originally to be a priest, then he got a degree in geology, and then he was like, nah, and dropped out altogether. He got this job offer to be the naturalist on the HMS Beagle in South America, and he hopped on that immediately. And he was sailing around and looking at animals and taking notes and all that, and he was like, yo, this is dope. So in South America, he found the fossils of this huge extinct sloth, and he was like, yo, this boy is definitely extinct. But this whole time, the church has been telling everybody about this great chain of being, and basically everything from rocks all the way up to God has its place in the chain. But the thing with the great chain of being is that nothing goes extinct. But Charles was looking at this big sloth and he was like, there was this other thing where people thought that based on the Bible, the world was about 6,000 years old, but he was finding all this old stuff and he was like, I don't know about that. He also found these finches on the Galapagos Islands and he was all like, yo, their different beaks are helping them eat different ways and stuff. And he was like, So he wrote all that down. So he's chilling, cruising around South America for about 5 years, but eventually he had to go home, so he did. The thing is, he started formulating the theory of natural selection, like, really early in his life. And then he sat on it for a long time. Like, 21 years kind of long time. So, here's the theory. He was observing all this variation in the finches and all the animals that he was seeing around South America, and he noticed that some of these variations were advantageous to survival, and some of these variations got passed on. He was also noticing an infinity of time that refuted the 6,000 year theory that the church was talking about. So, he came up with his 3 postulates. Number 1, there's a struggle for existence when a population outgrows its food supply. Number 2, there is differential success to survive and reproduce. Number 3, variation exists in a population and is inheritable. So it's all based on fitness, which basically means reproductive success. You got this environment, it starts to change, you have a random mutation that helps you live and produce better, you pass that junk on, and eventually everyone's got this poppin' new mutation, and you got a new species. So anyway, Darwin's got this groundbreaking theory, and he's sitting on it for a really long time. And his boys are all like, yo, you gotta publish this junk, and he's all like, nah. Because at the time, whenever scientists set some new science business that refuted the church, they got in big trouble and their families were shamed and their lives were ruined, and it was pretty much a bad deal. So he wanted to protect his family. All the time this is happening, he's also sick as hell. Then his daughter dies, and he's like, no, you were my favorite daughter. I know I'm not supposed to have favorites, but you were definitely my favorite, and now you're dead. And then his wife was like, yo, you're going to hell. And he was like, I know. And he was super bummed and he was just struggling for a minute. Then finally, Alfred Russel Wallace was like, yo, I'm onto the same business and you should really publish this thing. And Darwin was like, you're right. So in 1859, he published On the Origin of the Species. And the theory of natural selection was released to the world. And it changed the game, and we're still looking at his discoveries today. Charles Darwin died in the 18...
Taliban.
I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah. Jumpin', them boys up to something. They just spent like 2 or 3 weeks out the country. Them boys up to something, they just not just bluffing. You don't have to call, I hear my dance like Usher, ooh. I just found my tempo like on DJ Mustard, ooh. I hit that Ginobili with my left hand, though, like, woo.